Hello folks, and welcome back to another Blockhouse Tactics videos. We're going to continue to go over N3 and some of the changes between second and third edition. Today's focus is going to be on game round, player turn, and the different phases that make up that player turn. First off, we have a game round. So this is kind of new terminology that Corvus Belli is using to designate game turns or game rounds. In each game round, you have the player turns. So first player, second player, each player gets a turn. In those turns, you have different phases. So the different phases are the tactical phase, next comes the impetuous phase, then the order phase, and then it's the end of the turn. So what happens in the first phase? So the tactical phase. Well, first thing that happens is you check for retreat. Retreat is now modified or changed rather to 25%. So that means if you have over 25% of your force still alive, then you're good and there is no retreat. If you have less than that, then you enter the retreat state, which we'll cover in a later video. Another thing you check is whether you're in loss of lieutenant. So if your lieutenant died that previous round, then you check for loss of lieutenant, and then you enter into a different state of the turn that is loss of lieutenant. The other thing you do is you count orders. So there are five different kinds of normal orders that will be counted. There's the irregular order, which can only be assigned to that player. So in our example down here, when we get to the impetuous phase, our 45th Galwegian is an irregular troop. Therefore, at this phase, I would place an irregular token next to him to indicate only he can use that order. It doesn't go into your pool like regular orders do. Next, you have the regular orders. So in the troop profile, it will indicate whether it's irregular, regular, or impetuous, which we'll get to in a second. So if it's a regular order, then it will contribute to your order pool. So if you have a group of 10 units in your squad, 8 are regular and 2 are irregular, then that means your order pool for your order phase is going to be 8 regular orders in that pool. The next two, we'll go and classify them together, are impetuous. There's 2 different states of impetuous. There is the normal impetuous state, and then there's an extreme impetuous state. The only kind of difference between these two is that a normal impetuous gets the option to use his impetuous order. So if this 45th Galwegian was a normal impetuous, he would also have to place an irregular token next to him and then an impetuous token next to him. If he was normal impetuous, then you can decide if you want to use that impetuous order, if you just merely want to pick up the impetuous order and not use his impetuous order. If he was extreme impetuous, however, you would have to use that order. Or you can spend a regular order out of your pool, so back to our 8 and 2. So you would spend one of your regular 8 orders, put it aside, be left with 7 regular orders to start your order phase. What that would do was you could now remove that extreme impetuous token so that he didn't run out there into some danger. That's kind of another change between second and third edition, is that your troop is not as smart as he used to be. So when I say that, in second edition, if there was suppressive fire laid down, if there was a mine or something, you would not go headstrong forward into that zone because you'd be all, that's stupid. Now you're stupid. So you'd have to run headstrong. So in this instance here, we'll kind of change it up a little bit. Say there was a mine that had been discovered, so you know it's a mine. This guy would have to move in shortest path possible to the Yaugat and end up eating the mine. As where before he would take a different path. Now it is the shortest path possible. So that's kind of the difference between impetuous and extreme impetuous. Another change between second and third edition is you no longer get cover whether you're impetuous or extreme impetuous. This is kind of a rule that's, but it makes sense. In all reality of, the fluff behind an impetuous guy, he's just, you know, so bloodthirsty. I mean, the order, the skill rather, comes with fury at the front of it. So the guy is furious, and he wants to get into close combat as soon as possible in the shortest path possible. Now, that shortest path is either going to be, you know, a regular movement, a climb, a jump, however is going to get him to that shortest path possible. So that kind of covers impetuous and extreme impetuous. Let's go on to the actual, well, actually, hold on. There's one more type of order, and that is a lieutenant order. The lieutenant order is changed a little bit from second edition in that usually in second edition, you could just put, you know, your pool of orders, and the opponent would have to trust that you're only going to use your lieutenant order on your lieutenant. Now in third edition, as soon as you spend that lieutenant order, which is actually as a new kind of token, you would spend that lieutenant order and then say, I'm using my lieutenant order on this unit here, and it would reveal you who your lieutenant is. So now it's not as advantageous to use that lieutenant order. It's not like an extra order. It's kind of a, hey, let me put a target on my back. I'm the lieutenant, but I need to link these guys. It is what it is. So I do kind of like that change just because it makes a little more sense to me. It may not to others, but to me it makes sense. There's also a clause or a red box in the rules that specifies that this lieutenant order can use special applications or can be used for special applications. The only one that I really know of is to link troops. So the fact that there is applications, plural, makes me kind of excited that the lieutenant order may be able to be used on something other than just linking a troop. I scoured through the books before doing this, and I couldn't find an instance where the lieutenant order says it can be used for X. So if those of you out there that have, please, you know, put down in the comments here a page number or something, and then we'll make an addendum to this video. You know, we'll put up here, hey, Joe was dumb and forgot this. So please comment below any changes. I really appreciate them. It's the way we're going to learn. Okay, so that covers now the orders. Next to the phase. So after the tactical phase comes the impetuous phase. So now we have to use all of our impetuous orders to try and get into close combat. So we have two scenarios here. We'll go over the first scenario. So we see here our impetuous troop is our 45th, and he's trying to get into base to base because the closest model to him is this Yowgat. Again, impetuous, let's kind of go over the closest model. So there's a few instances where there's not a model. And in both of these instances, there's a closest model. But say you're going up against a fully camoed army, TO camo, hidden deployment, air deployment. There ain't nothing on the table, folks. So what that means is the impetuous unit has to move to the closest point of the deployment zone that he can. So it's taking the shortest path possible, of course. Well, what happens if I'm already in the deployment zone and he's impetuous? And everybody's TO'd, and there's only camo tokens, and I can't see anybody. Well, then your impetuous order just goes away. You can't move anywhere, you're already in the deployment zone, you're waiting for close combat. So, we get back to here. Our issue is, well, we can move, and it's only going to get us to about right here. If we go that way, shortest path, go here, we'll move here. Well, it's not going to get us to our troop. However, you may not be able to see on the video, but these boxes are exactly as wide as they are tall, so it's kind of a square, well, it's a rectangle, but it's the same distance, right? Okay, so instead of doing a move, what he's going to have to do is just climb. So we see here, boom, it's 2 inches up. He's only got that, he's 4'4". So he's actually just going to have to use the long skill and climb up. Well, sad pants for him. He spent a long skill, and now the Yowgat is facing him, so he's just going to have to take a shot in the face. Another thing to note about this is that if your unit, so in second edition, one of the things I like to do is when I deployed my impetuous guys, is deploy them prone. Well, okay, cool. First movement, stand up. Now I get to do whatever I want with the second movement. Not the case anymore. So when you start your order with an impetuous, if he's prone, he just automatically stands up. Boom, standing up, and then moves, stands up, and then jumps, stands up, and then climbs. So he has to stand up, and standing up or get up is a free action. So either way, you're going to climb to the top of this and take a shot to the face from the Yalgat. Over here, we have a scenario where we have a witch soldier and we have a Lugaru. This is really scary either way because Lugaru's got a viral rifle and, well, it's a witch soldier. So the closest path possible, if the witch soldier's going to move, he's going to move this way, he's going to have to go down the stairs and then climb around here and then climb up the stairs. Well, that's not the shortest and it's going to take a lot of orders. So instead, he has to jump. Whee! Jumps all the way over. Again, jump, climb. Now in 3rd edition, no rolls. So he just jumps over, and now the Lugaru gets a free shot to the face and tries to take down the witch soldier with his viral ammunition. So these are kind of the changes with Impetuous, how they're different from 2nd and 3rd edition, a little bit of how you would play each scenario of move, jump, or climb. So now we go on to the regular order phase. This is kind of just the normal orders. I have my group of 10 regular orders here that I can allocate to whoever I want, or this is where you start spending your irregular orders to where the 45th is irregular, so he'd spend his irregular order. If he survived this, more than likely he's just going to move to here and then shoot the Yalgat in the face. Actually, let's back up for a brief second for Impetuous, because the movement has kind of changed a little bit as well. So in 2nd edition, the first move value is the same. You have to move your first full move value, and then in 2nd edition, they let you do whatever you wanted with your second move. So the 4/4 Galwegian could move 4 and then 1 inch to stay, behind cover. So if he came here, he ended his movement here, and he wanted to move again, well, he wouldn't have to move 4 inches. He would just move there and then start a new order, so he would be in cover. Now, all of that's changed. So A, you don't get cover. B, if you were here and wanted to move again, you have to move your full second movement. So with the Impetuous order, you have to move your full movement values. Now, if I wanted to move him with his irregular order, sure, he could go 1/1. Nobody cares. It's with that Impetuous order that you have to move your full movement values if you choose to move. So if you wanted to say, move and then shoot, that's no different. You would just have to move your full 4 and then shoot. It's only if you move. Okay, now back to the regular orders. So with that, there are some things that we'll talk about in the next video with command tokens, to where you can change an irregular to a regular. So there are ways to increase your order pool. There's ways with command tokens that you can bring a unit from one group into another permanently. Changing the irregular to a regular is only during that one player turn. So we'll go more in depth about those and tactics you can use with command tokens in a later video. So after all of your orders are spent, that is the end of your player turn. So then you go to the next player's turn, and then after that player's turn is done, player 2, then that would be the end of the game round. You go to a new round and then start the turns all over again. So one thing kind of that I would like to add at the end is there are many people, many terrain companies, many companies out there that make order tokens. So things like Warsenal, they're the one that come to mind because I have Warsenal tokens. But there are many other companies out there that make them. I'll try to put down in the comments below a few that have really nice order tokens. MicroArt Studio is one as well. But for those kind of on the budget, what I did is I actually cut out maybe I can show here. I actually cut out, I printed on a sheet of paper all the order tokens, and then I went over to Hobby Lobby and I picked up some epoxy, 1-inch epoxy stickers, and then just cut out the paper, glue it onto the epoxy. I've been using those for now 2 years, and none of them have flawed, have screwed up. So I recommend that. If you're just starting out on a budget, don't want to go, full bore and buy every faction that you own's order tokens. I only have Hagislam because they were cool and green. But that's kind of a recommendation that you can do on the cheap. I think they're like $1.99 at Hobby Lobby for probably 40 epoxy bubbles. So that's one thing to consider. All right, that's it for the game round description, or at least the brief description. The next video will go into command tokens, what you can do with command tokens, and also coordinated orders, which now require command tokens. It's not a lieutenant's order, or rather just a free order. It was never a lieutenant's order, but it's now not just a free order or an order, a regular order only. You have to use a command token for coordinated orders. So we'll go into some tactics about that, a little more about strategic use of command tokens, which is fantastic. I read that and it was mind-blowing. So yeah, tune in next time to hear what we have to say. There's a few people rattling around up there, I guess. We may also have Randy back or new faces, rather, to help us discuss and go over 3rd edition changes, updates, what have you. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.